I'm Faye Wett, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. 4 dead after car crashes into Tampa LGBTQ plus club. Community mourns. 4 people are dead and more than 10 are injured after a driver sped onto a sidewalk and crashed into the entrance of Bradley's on 7th, a beloved queer nightclub in Tampa's Ybor City. Authorities say the crash happened after police spotted 2 cars racing. The cars split up and one driven by 22-year-old Silas Kenneth Sampson entered downtown Tampa. When officers tried to stop him, Sampson sped away. Police said efforts to slow him down failed, and moments later, his car hit more than a dozen people outside the club. 3 victims died at the scene and another at a local hospital. Tampa Police Chief Bercaw informed, quote, "They were out in Ybor, having a good time, expecting to go home safely, and a careless, reckless driver takes everybody's lives in his hands," end quote. Club owner Bradley Nelson called the crash a horrific event. On Saturday night, over 100 people gathered at a vigil organized by Pride of Tampa to honor those lost and injured. God, waking up to this story yesterday, it just broke my heart. I mean, everybody from down here, South Florida includes Tampa and Ybor City and Orlando and all of that. And we all go there because we know it's another gay little mecca that we can go and be safe at, right? I think everybody at this table has been in front of Bradley's, right, at one time or another. So to hear something like this, you're just out hanging out, 12:30 at night, hanging out with your friends outside, and all of a sudden a car comes in and does this. It's horrific. And now we're waking up to a lot of rumors and, shit talking and all kinds of stuff saying that, the police might have been in the wrong when they were chasing them, or they had stopped chasing them at a certain point. They were not able to make the car stop going into those streets in Ybor City. And now people are upset. People are up in arms, and with good reason. There's still 13 people in the hospital trying to recover from their injuries, and some are still life-threatening, that we won't know if they'll make it or not.
I have a Facebook friend who, her and her husband were in Chicago and woke up to 10 missed calls. Her daughter and 2 godsons Ubered to the bar, having drinks, and he said it just came out of nowhere. And let's pray that her daughter and one of the godsons are still in ICU. And it's just, it breaks your heart to know that. I think we're all going to see connections to this. Terrible.
It's one of those things, some cities have turned districts such as this into pedestrian-only areas where you have to park your car, and that might be the future of these kinds of places. Just foot traffic only, you park your car or you take Uber to wherever it is you're trying to get to. That might be the answer.
Well, and initially, we think of hate crimes and stuff like that when we think of something like this happening, right? But even in New Orleans and in places like that, they have put different barricades up.
Yes, that's right.
Right? Those steel barriers that go into the ground. They're just used for parade reasons or for festival reasons or something like that. That might have to be something that will have to be in places that have small driveways or whatever. What do you call them? Because those streets in Ybor City are pretty slim. They're tight.
Now, I had those thoughts when I first started reading this article, but then I started doing more research on what was being
Alex.
reported.
That's why I love you. What did you find out?
Well, the Tampa Bay Times talked about how Tom Gleason is a retired police captain, and he's an expert in this sort of specialized pursuits. And he talked about, there's a lot of statistical data about you shouldn't do these chases. And he talked about, the problem when you loosen policies is the risk to troopers, officers, deputies, and the public goes up. He said, that's what you just saw. We turn racing into a death investigation. And what was reported by the Tampa Bay Times and by the Advocate was that, well, first off, how did they even find out that they were allegedly racing? Because remember, just because the police say something to us in media, we have to wait till actually they get...
There's video proof.
That's right, because what they say and what happens is never always the same. But it was a helicopter started pursuing them. I'm sorry, what do you mean a helicopter is pursuing people? Whether they were racing or not, if I was a 22-year-old kid, which is who this is, I would be freaked out. And then the troopers started pursuing them, and then they do a maneuver, and then, quote-unquote, moments later, he just happened to crash into something. Sure, it's unrelated. Sure, the police had nothing to do with it, right? We have seen out-of-control state troopers in this state for a very long time, and this is just more fact that DeSantis' troopers are more of a harm to our community than a help. Tampa's police don't do this crap. And if Tampa's police were involved, I think this wouldn't have happened.
Wow. Wow. Well, there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.